Commissioner Miller.
Here.
Commissioner Snyder.
Here.
Commissioner Zender.
Here.
Commissioner Henning.
Here. Okay, as is our tradition, we'll ask for a prayer from Commissioner Snyder and then Commissioner Miller to lead us through the pledge.
O Lord, we are privileged to call you our Heavenly Father. We thank you for this and all of your blessings freely given. We ask you to remain with us and protect our great nation and all who serve her. Also during these difficult times, Lord, we ask for all of us to be able to unite for a common good, locally at state level and the national level, to try and move this country forward. We ask for a blessing upon all of the residents of Lapeer County, especially those that are hurting in difficult ways, and give them a way out, Lord. And if we can assist, please remind us and show us how. And Lord, we ask for a blessing for our staff, and we thank you for them. And Lord, as we prepare to conduct the business of the county now, we humbly ask you to grace us with a portion of your wisdom, sufficient to serve our fellow citizens and you, Lord, in the proper way in accordance with your will. We ask this in your holy name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we look at the agenda, I do have a request to put on the GLTA presentation at some other date. So we'll take that off. And I guess near the end, maybe around budget time update, we could ask Quentin Bishop, our Administrative Controller, to give us an update on the broadband survey.
Sure.
And any other topics that he might want to indicate in that area. Any other additions? Changes?
I'll move it.
Support. Moved and supported. Further discussion? See none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Okay, we have requests going around. I saw the folders to look at. It's now time for department heads to make reports. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped it again. Minutes. Motion, Commissioner Snyder. Okay, Miller. Any corrections? See none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Thank you. Now, updates from department heads.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Just giving an update on the water main break issue. So as of yesterday, they advised that the repair status are extending for about 2 weeks. They did not give an actual date anymore. They were saying September 3rd all along, but because of the delay in production of the pipes, they've extended it out. So all of the pipe is on site now, and they've begun repair work, putting it together, welding it, and doing all that stuff that yesterday and today and however long it takes to finish that. And then once that's done, they're going to begin the flushing and testing and sampling and decontamination of the whole system and all that stuff. So they did issue a draft set of timelines for all of those steps that they need to take to accomplish that. Still in draft form. There is a conference call in progress right now, so I don't know if they're gonna have any new updates, but I'll find out later from somebody else. But that's where they're at this time. Yesterday, Emily City had water distribution from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Then again, they're gonna do it today from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then in the process of all of this, Eagle and DHHS also found elevated levels of lead in several homes in NY City. They are unable to identify the source at this time, There are no lead service lines over there, so they're unsure of where it's coming from. But it did exceed the threshold for lead. So they got right on that, started bringing filters over for residents who wanted them. And then they were distributed yesterday alongside water distribution. So this lead issue is not an emergency management side of things, it's the health department side of things. They're in the lead on this. I'm informed of what's going on, I'm assisting where I can, but it's all coming from DHHS and down into the health department. So Kathy's been working on that. She did a great job working her phone the other night, trying to get more filters into LA City because what was on hand and what they were trying to get over would not have been enough. And then they were able to secure several hundred more, which showed up around 3:30 yesterday, and we helped offload all of that. So by the end of the night, we had enough filters to go around. I think we have about 1 pallet of filters left. So I'm assuming they're gonna try to get more. I don't know the answer on that one yet. So they had to have, there's about 1,600 homes in LA City, and that's about how many filters overall I would have liked to see DHHS get, because if everybody wanted one, then they got to give them one. So that's about all I have on this here. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Questions?
I was with Jeff yesterday. He was assisting, passing out water. And we passed out quite a few filters yesterday. Total them, they said do it again today, 10 to 2. So Kathy did a great job getting grabbing cages to get more. So hopefully we'll keep at it and run from there. But thanks for all you heard with Jeff. Appreciate it.
You too. Yeah, it was a great turnout from the residents. I mean, it was busy the entire time. From the time I got there until it closed.
Were the lead issues in Imlay City new? I mean, have they been aware that they might have those issues beforehand?
No, it's new. So ever since the water main break began, they've been testing the water, I don't know, every day, every other day, or whatever the requirement is on that. They've been testing it, making sure, all the contaminants are within spec and whatnot. And then a couple of days ago, they detected elevated levels of lead. So a brand new issue, and they jumped right on it to start taking care of the residents.
And again, this individual homes with their pipes that are an issue really about the lead contamination.
No,
No.
LA City does not have any lead service lines. So they, at this time, do not know the source of the lead. I can only speculate. Brian and I were just kind of chatting last night about it. It's perhaps because of the change in the water source, coming from some wells and other things, that the phosphates that they run down in the water that keeps all the contaminants stuck to the pipe and not get into the water itself, because there's no phosphates going in that maybe some of the contaminants like lead are coming off the pipe and making its way into the water. That's just pure speculation on my part. I'm not an expert on that, but that's kind of what I think, or what we're thinking on that. But we gotta wait for the experts to come back and determine that.
Could it be from, because one thing I discovered back when the Flint crisis happened, a lot of homes in Lapeer County still have lead pipes in them.
There are some, yeah. City of Lapeer has around 38, I believe.
Yeah.
And they already have a plan in place, they've had it in place, they've got funding in place, they're just waiting on parts.
I'm not even just talking about the city, I'm talking about out
Rural areas.
rural areas.
Well, yeah, if you got your own water system
Yeah.
as well, and you've got some really old lines, that's gonna be that homeowner's responsibility to update them.
Yeah, I mean, my question is there any way it could have came from those homes, or those would have already been fitted out years ago?
To the best of my knowledge, I don't think that has an effect on it.
Oh, no, I mean, the homes that have, not, because the city doesn't have lead pipes, but can homes still have lead pipes?
Inside the home,
Yes.
yes, they can.
Could that have been a source of some of the testing issues?
It certainly could be a source if they have lead lines inside the home, but that's not.
But that wouldn't have
I don't
affected the,
It can.
From what I understood, Brendan, the way they sampled this, the answer to your question would be no.
okay,
Okay, again, I'm not an expert on this either. But the way it sounded like they were really perplexed as to how they're coming up with this, because some of the homes they know have plastic lines going to them, and they were still testing positive for this.
Yeah, well, that's what I was wondering. I wasn't sure how it worked. I'm sure they had worked it out, but just a question. Thank you.
But they're studying it, try to figure it out.
There you go, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, none. Thank you, Jeff.
All right, thank you very much.
Other departments?
Morning, Commissioners. I'll give you an update on what's been going on with Brennan Court this summer. It's been busy for us. First and foremost, a little good news, I was able to attend Midland Brennan Court Conference in person in July. They hadn't held it in the past 2 years because of COVID, so it was nice to make contact with other Brennan Courts across the state, including Genesee County. Tony McDowell's his name, guy in his 30s. Nice to get a personal relationship with other people doing similar work. Throughout July and August, I've been working with Mr. Bartley, the IT department head, and a subcontractor from the state, DuPont, on a cybersecurity audit. This is scheduled to occur every 3 years, and it's to be completed by the conclusion of this month. At the same time, Mr. Bartley and myself have been working with another state subcontractor, Trace3, performed a network penetration test as part of the cyber audit. We are also undergoing a random Michigan State Police criminal history and fingerprint audit, which should be concluded by the middle of this month. We have 5 new Friend of the Court employees in new positions as a result of internal promotions. We have 4 new Friend of the Court employees in training, and we have 1 vacancy present that we are looking to fill. With that, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you all for your attention this morning.
Thanks for everything. Other departments? Several departments are on the agenda, so wait until then. Okay, then, seeing no other people coming forward there, we'll ask for members of the general public who wish to make 3-minute comments during public time.
I do. Can you just tell us the rules? Is it like 3 minutes, unlimited people?
It is 3 minutes.
2 minutes?
3 minutes.
3 minutes, thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you very much. My name is David West, and I've been a homeowner on Lake Lapeer for 24 years, and I am also a board member of the Lake Lapeer Association. I'm here today to discuss line 5 on the agenda, the Lake Lapeer level project, which means our dam. I would like to start this out by saying we agree with the safety upgrades proposed by the Drain Commissioner. Us as owners of lakefront properties on Lake Lapeer have the most need for the dam to be kept in its best shape. Seeing what happened in Midland has us very focused on the need to always have the necessary requirements. With that being said, we can still be practical with this going forward with the cost of this project. We believe that with some due diligence and that there could be some financial resources, such as grants at both the state and federal level, that would help us with this huge tax burden that we'd be assessed to the homeowners. I believe you commissioners may already know of the dredging project that may be going on, taking place this year on Lake Lapeer. That's at a cost to us of $400,475. That's already been approved to be assessed to the lake owners. We stand here before you today with a surprise cost of $290,000 to the lake owners just found out in August. That cost has been put in front of you to vote on, which will be another assessment to us. You as the board may have heard about this dredging project in the past because it's been taking a very long time for the lake owners to agree to proceed with this project. So now in just this 1 month, we incur this other tax assessment that'll bring the grand total of $690,475 of tax assessments in 1 year to us. In just the past several days, we've come across a few federal and state grants that we as lake owners believe can receive to help fund the cost of the repair of the dam. For example, we have started an email thread with Mr. Luke Trumbull from Eagle regarding the grant program they offer. We intend on contacting the Fish Habitat Grant Program for dam repair. We've also looked into FEMA and what they may offer for dam repair. Last year, Michigan lawmakers unveiled a $500 million for dam safety upgrades. The window of opportunity to apply for some of these grants starts right here in September. And all we are asking for at this time would to give us time to investigate and apply for these financial resources. And I've got this and everyone does, right? It's just a simple Google. But I mean, that right there is the title to it. Michigan lawmakers unveil $500 million for dam safety upgrades. We just can't believe that we can't be a part of that. And, the whole thing is about safety. So as both a homeowner and Lake Lapeer board member, I'm confident that we have the people needed to investigate and apply for these grants immediately. We don't believe there's anything wrong and that there's any danger in letting us have a chance to find out if we can get these grants. If there's really a safety issue that's of urgent need, we'd be willing to do that within the next 2 months. But it can only be about like damage from roots of trees that would be getting into the dam. But those trees aren't just 1 year old. Those are mature trees. If the safety issue is about the fence around there, well, that fence has been down for 10 years. So another year, let's say, I don't believe is going to be a big deal.
I'm getting a notice that 3 minutes are up.
Oh, everything, I'm sorry. Well, I tell you what, I'd like to finish it up with this. We know a no vote sounds like an ugly conflict, and we're not here for that. I'm sure you take this vote as board members as serious because it is a very serious issue. And I don't know what the proper protocol is. We're not here to go against the drain commissioner of any sort. We're just asking for the time. So I don't know if protocol means you must vote no on line item 5, or if you can delay or what have you. So that's what we're asking for as lake owners. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jim Bitzer. I reside at 2894 Galloway Bay, Metamora. I am a member of the Lake Association of Lake Lapeer. I'm here to talk about agenda item 5, much like Dave. Taxpayers in this drain district favor maintaining the dam on Lake Lapeer. The notice from the Drain Commissioner's office of the 8/10/22 meeting was very vague, never stating dam specifically. So in essence, it was poorly attended by our drain district members. Taxpayers are ready to have already have a tax assessment of $400,475 with the dredging of the 2 inlet accesses to Lake Lapeer. The proposed dam repair budget of $290,000 would burden the taxpayers for a total of $690,475. I understand the Drain Commissioner's reluctance to get involved with the grant process. I can commit at this time that the property owners have 2 very competent professionals who have already been in contact with various sponsors of drain grants. These individuals are prepared to start the grant process immediately in preparation of the grant and coordinate with the Drain Commissioner. This could benefit all citizens involved and could be a win-win situation for the residents. At this time, the taxpayers of this drain district are requesting that item 5 of the agenda be tabled so more financial resources can be reviewed and implemented, resulting in reducing the tax burden to the citizens you represent and I thank you for this tonight.
Thank you. Any added comments?
I too speak,
Do you want to introduce yourself?
I too speak on the Lake Lapeer agenda item. My name is Ray Bells. I'm a homeowner, and I did make the Joe Summer meeting, and there wasn't many people. There was more people at that meeting that weren't involved than it was homeowners. And as Dave and Jim reported, I support the dam repair. We all support the dam repair. And we just want a little time. And I'm not sure what your procedural rules are, Robert's rules or whatever, but if you could possibly table it for further consideration for a set period, rather than vote no or yes, to table it for further consideration while we investigate these other options. And that's all we're asking. We're bored with getting the dam repaired. We just would like time to investigate. We have 2 people working on it right now. One couldn't make it today because of a surgery in his family. But I'm confident that we can come up with a solution on whether we're going to get grants or not in the near future. Thank you.
For those people who are here for the first time, we typically don't respond to people making comments at this point. We are noting your input, and we'll be listening in terms of using that as we discuss the agenda item. Next.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here again. I'm totally guilty of being absent in my government because I'm a healthcare person, so that's kind of my focus of my life. But a couple of years ago, things that happened in the presidential, it was truly about the medical treatment for COVID, got me involved. I never had social media. I opened a Twitter account. So my world opened up a little bit more on this political aspect. I've been really aware of a lot of medical questions that I've had over the last 30 years, just trying to help my kids, and I saw some things that just didn't seem quite right to me. I ran for precinct delegate of Attica Township, and I didn't win, even though I sent out 400 cards, and no one else in my precinct did that. And I went to the meeting at the fairgrounds, and the people who won my district weren't even there. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And I heard some chit chat about what could be going on. So I thought I would just observe. So I've been observing. Even before that, I was kind of alerted to things, and I'm not one to make a quick decision. So I've been watching. So I got nominated to go as an alternate as a upstanding Republican. So I went to the meeting, the convention on Saturday. I don't know if any of you saw it or read anything about it. I'm embarrassed to say that I am an American, not an American, but belonging to any party. It was chaos in our own party. I swear to you, if you had been there, 4 hours of craziness because Macomb County had some chaos going on. And a judge even ruled that it should have gone a certain way. And the leader of the chairman of the committee didn't even listen to a judge. I mean, it's almost, you sit there and you're in disbelief, like, what is going on? A judge ruled this. And he ignored what the judge's order was. So after 4 hours, the convention, the people wouldn't sit down and take it. So at the end of 4 hours, finally, the way the judge said it should go, it happened. And then the rest of the convention was pretty much, I would say normal. Macomb County, and then I met people from Hillsdale County that had similar shady activity. And it was all last minute, trying to corrupt the grassroots people from getting involved. And now I'm hearing more of the, quote, grassroots people. The establishment is trying to shut down the grassroots people. But I will tell you, the grassroots people are awake and the people are getting involved. I really have no idea what I'm doing in government, but I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to show up. I'm asking all of you to show up, go to some of this stuff and pay attention. It's mind-blowing to me, just as an observer, as a citizen. If I can see it, it's out there. So we were told to get involved and we were, and I'm gonna say, nothing can stop what's coming. Because we, the grassroots people, have God and the love of this country behind us. And they woke the sleeping giant. So this morning, I prayed and I asked God to give me some direction. And this is what came. It's Joel 2. Blow the trumpet in Zion and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble. For the day of the Lord is coming, for it's at hand. A day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, like we're in right now, like the morning clouds spread over the mountains, and people come great and strong, the like whom never have been, nor there will ever be such after them, even for many successive generations. We're awake, and I'm begging you all to get involved. Everyone here in this room, we have got to get involved, because there is something really wrong in this country, and we, the people, have to speak up for integrity and what's right.
Thank you.
Amen.
Good morning, Carol Lynn, Marathon Township. The first thing is, I want to thank you again for passing that resolution. The folks that were here for weeks about the healthcare, trying to make sure that their folks who were disabled would still get services. And I don't know if you heard the news, but this last week in a 2-to-1 opinion, the court said lawmakers did not clearly demonstrate that insurance payment cuts would be applied retroactively. So all those folks that were not gonna get services and were gonna be pretty much, just thrown out of the homes that they were getting assisted in, they now will be receiving those services promised. So I thank you for that resolution that you passed, because that made a huge difference. It really did. I honestly think that just people talking about it and being educated about it, I'm just so happy for those folks. Also, it sounds like this last week that those 27,000 folks that are deceased will not, now they won't have to vote, because Jocelyn Benson lost her case. So those folks will not have to worry about who they're gonna vote for in November. The other thing is, I don't know if you have seen, but Tuscola County, the GOP passed a resolution that they are, I don't know how to say, that they are bringing about the, that we should be aware that the 2020 election, they do not believe the results were pure and accurate. And it's quite a resolution, but I think that's gonna be, they're not the first ones to pass this. So I'm really excited about that. And then also, the NIH is now showing on their website that ivermectin is an anti-parasitic drug that is being evaluated to treat COVID-19 for the first time. Ivermectin is now being considered as, something other than remdesivir. And the nurses in many hospitals call that remdesivir. And it's just a shame. And I applaud all of these people that have shown up today, because I've been here talking about what happened in Marathon Township, where meetings were held without us knowing, where decisions were made to put this so-called campground in a sanctuary area, and it passed through. And again, meetings we weren't told there were meetings, we were only told one meeting that happened, and people showed up, and the people were heard, but they voted against us anyway. I pray today, people are intelligent, people can write grants, there are grant writers. Please consider these opinions. This is a lot of money, and honestly, I look at some things and say, why are we as taxpayers why are so many things thrown on our backs? I know I don't understand it all, I'm not up there with you guys, but at least table it. Listen to these folks, talk to the two people they're talking about that are possibly looking into grant writing. Thank you.
Alan Pierce, Hadley Township. I fully support the request by fellow citizens of Hadley Township that this project at least be delayed, a decision by this board be delayed, so alternate means of funding can be requested. And I don't know how long the request system allows. It could be a 90-day period, it could be a year, but at least give the people who are going to have to shoulder the burden of that the opportunity to look for an alternative way. I'm not buying the idea that the CDC suddenly realized it was going in the wrong direction. They knew it from the start, and they did it intentionally. I suspect they're only now starting to change their direction of their course because mainstream media is losing its grip on us, the public. We are awoke. Mainstream media had their coverage of every obnoxious, unscientific recommendation, and without that brainwashing arm, the CDC has in no way to turn but backwards. Like Dr. Anthony Fauci, they probably realize that the political tide is turning. People are fed up with the 1984 doublespeak. And if Republicans take the House in November, the CDC could well be facing any number of investigations. There are 2 senators currently, as of August 23rd, promising a full-throated investigation of Fauci and former NIH Chief Francis Collins' potential roles in the origin of the pandemic, and issued a formal request to the HHS and NIH to preserve documents and communications. Leadership at the CDC and FDA also need to be investigated and questioned about the ins and outs of their decision-making. Not that I think they'll ever admit to working for the devil, meaning the deep state cabal that is using COVID as a cover for a global takeover, but there needs to be a reckoning nonetheless. Those willing to sacrifice their lives, futures, and constitutional rights of Americans on behalf of these transhumanist psychopaths need to be ruthlessly weeded out, and then we need to implement new public health systems, perhaps through agencies with powers that are more limited in scope and state-run rather than federal. Never ever should any agency like the CDC be allowed to ban doctors from treating patients, for example, based on their own expertise and experience. What has happened during this pandemic and is still happening, is a true crime against humanity. We must never forget how health officials, government officials, media, and other influencers tried to foment hatred against the unvaccinated, and how they've been willing to discriminate to the point of death. I, for one, would love to hear the CDC explain why they have ignored the blaring safety signal of nearly 1.3 million reports of COVID jab injuries in the vaccine adverse events reporting system, the illustrious VARS. Wouldn't all of you?
Any other members of the public wish to comment?
Morning. Chief Beckwith, Marathon Township. I too echo support of residents of Lake Lapeer and their concerns about this project. I live in Marathon Township and I wake up every morning except for Sunday mornings, to the sounds of the decimation of that sanctuary land. Big rigs are in there, they're tearing down the trees. It's a sound that's very, very disheartening to hear that. And so, I feel as though I did not have an opportunity right from the get-go because I was not informed of what was going on in my township. They made decisions without the knowledge or the input of the citizens that actually live there. And so I urge you guys to listen and support people, Metamora and Hadley Township that live here. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, then we'll move on to our agenda. The first topic then would be the KIND program. Michelle Clark is here. She's been here a couple times to talk about school to career.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. I have Chelsea Haynes with me. She is one of the caseworkers and she does the middle schools for this program. So I don't know if you want me to go through my whole spiel again about KIND, or if you want to just ask me questions. I do know you did receive the packet of information.
Yes.
What's the pleasure?
I'm actually good. I did reach out to one of the dean of students, and I want to meet this Kelly person. She's got to be like a rock star. Everything you had in here, every person is like Kelly this, Kelly that. So congrats to Kelly.
Kelly does the high schools, Chelsea does the middle schools, and I'll tell you, my staff is all rock stars. They are amazing. It's not me, it's the staff that really pulls all this together. We are now, she's going to be doing the MES program, Manners, Etiquette, and Social Skills, and all of Lapeer have except for Turl, has said yes, please. Kelly's going to be doing a program for kindergarten, first and second grades on Just Breathe. And she has done that in Columbiaville, St. Paul's, and Lapeer last year, and it was tremendously accepted and everybody wants it now. And then we are looking at the mentor program. Roland Warner said they had 20 kids they wanted to send us right off the bat. So I will be hiring some more staff and everything's going really good.
So did you get that sheet from Benton with like the numbers and stuff as far as, is that all trackable as far as you're concerned?
Most of it, I mean, for the high school and the junior high program, most of it is not trackable because we don't know if they're in court unless truancy makes the referral and we work with, then we know they're in the truancy program. Unless the child tells us that they are in probate court, we don't ask those questions or
No,
anything.
but if they're referred by probate court to you, you know that.
Right, if truancy reports, refers, then we can keep track of those, or if anybody refers them. The high school and the junior high program both go through the school for the referrals. They're the ones that contact their parents and do all that, and then they give us a list of the kids to see.
Right. So just what we're saying is next year, we just want better data.
Okay.
We're not asking for anything impossible. I think, like say, if you get with Clinton,
Yeah.
so you really understand what we're looking for. Because this board, except for me, maybe I'll bring in,
Right.
we need to be able to say, okay, this is what they're doing.
We could tell you how many kids are headed towards probate court and then they didn't make it. that would be a better,
Well, but attendance, once you start working with them, those suspensions, all that sort of stuff, that's all easy data to track.
Right. I know Chelsea, tell them about the student that just made the honors.
So Alma Facebook page, just Alma's Community
May-
Schools, just can you not hear me?
Come a little
Hi,
closer, right?
I'm Chelsea. So Alma, on their Facebook page, Alma Community Schools just posted about how 10 students received awards for a GPA of 3.5 higher and did really amazing on their SATs exams. And one of the students we worked with for 2 years last year in the 7th grade, and I was a 9th grade student, received one of the awards. So it was really cool just to see she was struggling so bad, and then now she's there. So it was just really cool to see the progress when you're not even there anymore. They learn from the program.
And that's awesome. Like, so nobody doubts your program, okay? We just need some better data.
Yeah,
to that.
I can get with Quentin and we can,
So if you can make sure that for next year we have that, I would make a motion that we approve this as presented.
Yeah, similar to the draft motion here.
Yeah, we did a draft motion, just add right at the very end, terminating August 31st, 2023, because even though that's a handwritten notation, just to make it official. I'll support that motion.
What was the date?
August 31st, 2023.
Thank you.
I was gonna mention, you talked about junior high school. Actually, the program that can be tracked the best is the elementary school program.
and we do have a lot of data on that. And I will say, usually we ended the contract June 30th, but because of year-round school and a lot of things, the schools have asked us to go through, they want us year-round, so that's why the contract this year is to August 31st.
Any further questions or discussion? Okay, see none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no.
Thank you very much, and the schools, thank you. I know some of the superintendent was gonna try and come, and so we appreciate it, and we will do good work. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, train commissioner, agenda item number 5, which has a lot of interest. Hi, Joe.
Morning, all.
Morning, Joe.
I came to you in the spring and asked for a motion to exceed on this train project.
You may want to pull that microphone a little bit towards you. There you go.
I came to you with a motion to exceed on this project in the spring, and the board was willing to go ahead with that project. Since then, we've had some additions to what was going to be done, as well as the legal part of it, and the need for coming to the board to get approval to borrow. That is why I'm here today. If we delay the project to look for grants, it's rare that grants are given to anything with a district that can pay for it. Possibly with the new issues, future might allow something like that. My feeling right now is we've gone basically about 2 years to get to this point of getting this project accomplished. The roll was looked over for the district, and that needs to be approved by the roll and the ability to borrow from this loan. And I've heard some reports here about looking for the grants. Talked with Ryan Wozik, that's a fellow member of the lake board that I'm on for Lake Lapeer. He's got 53 different dams or weirs in Oakland County. His feeling is there is no easy grant money, and it will cost thousands of dollars of preparation paperwork to get the grants. They tried for 3 last year, 10,000 trying to get it. All 3 were turned down. My view is if you look at that option, look at the option that the project will cost more, interest will cost more, and the information that this grant package would take would be additional costs above what we've already done. And if you look for rebidding it, you look for coming up with a company that's available, products that are available, and getting the job done. It's my job to try and maintain that through your board appointing a grant commissioner to do that. I would like to see you step forward and allow this to continue. We have a window of time for people to protest the role. That would give them probably 3 to 5 weeks here before there would be a borrowing. If they can come up with a grant package that looks like it's working, it could possibly be looked at. Right now, I would prefer to try and move along with this. The properties on the lake are roughly $1,000 per household. Properties off lake are about $500 per household, plus the interest that we could get. We're presently at about $375 to 5% interest for the loan. Any other questions you have?
So the $1,000 roughly per household,
Over 4 years is my plan.
so $4,000 a household.
No, $1,000 total.
$1,000 total. Okay.
250 roughly per year
And
for
then,
people on the lake.
Put the mic in front of you, please.
but they also had another assessment, so of about the same value.
Yeah, I think a little bit higher.
Okay,
The 400,000.
right. So is there any fear that this dam, something catastrophic would happen to it if we postpone this for a little bit of time to give them opportunity to pursue these grants?
The postponement of time is, I've been on this and I have a contractor and we've been moving forward. So if we move forward with stopping it until there's an issue solved with possible grants, then we very likely could be looking at rebidding it at today's market with today's prices with higher interest by the time we get there.
But ultimately, these folks are the ones that are gonna have to pay for that.
Yep.
Okay, and if they're willing, if that's what they're requesting us to do, okay, knowing that if these grants fail, that this could cost you more money, and they're willing to take that risk, I just don't see a reason that we wouldn't give them an opportunity to pursue this. I mean, as long as it's not really a safety issue that if we don't do something with this, right away, this thing's gonna fail and we're gonna have all sorts of problems. If that's not the case, this is more a maintenance type thing that needs to
The
be
dam
done.
itself is in good shape. There are, in this package, there is some rock to put on the lakeside to support protection of the dam. That's minor in this total package. The big cost for the package is redoing the rack over the spill. And that has been in continuing wearing to the point of needing to be done.
There's no immediate safety issue.
For the dam itself, no.
Are you good, Brian? Okay, so a couple of quick questions. One, the grant process, so far as you know, what is the cycle of the grant process?
For the dam,
Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't know, okay. Now, this is a question, I don't know if you have the answer to it. I can do this, I think. The person that spoke first.
Yes,
Yeah. Are you the president?
No.
of the Lake Board?
No.
Who is the president of the Lake?
Greg Keister.
Has the Lake Board discussed this?
There's like several of us that are on the
Yeah.
Lake Board.
I understand. Well, here's why I asked. So I've had an opportunity in my role to serve on the Lake Board because of the commission. I don't know if Lenny, you do the same on your Lake Boards or
I
not.
don't, only the districts that have a lake,
Okay.
and so my district does not.
Yeah, I know every Lake Board kind of, I think, determines that differently.
There are only very limited ones in the
I know.
county.
The reason I ask is, Brian brings up a great point that the people of the lake are willing to potentially pay extra to potentially not pay extra, make that risk. Then I think it's completely within, it makes sense to do that. But I also don't want the 7 people who showed up here to represent the 50 who might live there.
300,
There we go.
348 parcels.
Yep,
There's
so.
all 328 that will be paying.
So my request would be this. I know Lake Boards can meet on a dime sometimes. I would actually request the Lake Board come together and have a vote on whether or not they support the passage of this or not. If they don't, that would go a long ways to me to say, well, hey, everyone at the lake or everyone who showed up at the lake is willing to take the risk and go for the grants. Because in all honesty, if they want to potentially spend an extra $100,000 with grants, and then obviously if the grant fails with extra costs with the current inflation prices, that's their risk to make. But as I said, I would like to see that from the Lake Board.
Lake Board or Lake Association Board?
Both. Honestly, both.
What's the difference between the
Yeah.
Lake
You're gonna
Board
have,
and
you're gonna
Association
have
Board?
us, and you're gonna have them.
Yep, so
They're on
the
one
difference
board, we're on
is,
another.
so the difference is the Lake Board is the improvement board, correct?
Yes.
They make the decisions, usually it's a 4-member board,
I believe it's 5.
5-member board. Joe is actually one of the members on there. Then there's the Lake Association, which is the general, it's basically a homeowner association, as I picture. I would like to see both of those groups give some support, at the very least, if the HOA, because the HOA, in my opinion, represents much more members. And they're probably all still here, I would assume, in the summertime. Because I know in the wintertime it gets real rough, because a lot of people leave during the winter, normally live in those areas. So, but I'm gonna vote to table it, in my opinion. But then the onus isn't on you, the onus is on the Lake Owner Association board and, your other lake board too, if they really want to stop this, to send me, or us rather, a resolution that says the same, because
Well, you are the county board over this thing.
I know, I
And I
understand.
am
But if-
basically your employee.
If there's not an imminent danger, I have no problem delaying it. If this was something where it's like, if this thing's about to fail, if we don't stop and fix this right now, then I would say, well, if you have to do it, if this thing's about to fail and we only have a couple people show up, we're having people show up, and it might be a general feeling, especially considering they've already paid, it was $690,000 or something.
That's the new.
That's the new, yeah.
That's
They've already,
That would be the new total.
oh, sorry, yeah, now they have to pay that much. I mean, that's a huge burden to put on a lot of homeowners. So that's just my opinion. I'm only one of 4 today.
So Commissioner Miller,
Yeah.
Rick Warren apparently sits on, which
The
board?
Lake Board.
He's on the Lake Board.
Okay.
Lake Improvement Board.
Okay. He called me the other day because he knew he wasn't gonna be here, and he was in favor of postponing this as well. So, like I say, I'm not sure what you're looking for from these boards. Obviously, we want to do what you folks want within reason, okay? And as long as, hopefully, the people that are sitting in this room, it's the true majority of what the association and the lake board want.
Yes.
We could have
more, but people are working.
No, I understand that, sir, and we don't need 50 people coming up here telling us the exact same information. We just want to make sure we're doing what the majority of the people want, okay?
We truly believe that.
And I believe that as well. And if you guys are willing to take the risk of this project could cost more by delaying it, you understand that? If we could postpone this, is there a time frame?
We can only guess that, and probably at best, you know, it'd be a full year, because, for instance, Joe wants to have it started, and he's right, to have it started here in October. So, you know, this process is gonna take effect, and it'll be till next October when the water goes back down in order to do this. So it would be a 1 year, for sure.
So if we postpone this for 6 months,
Yes, sir.
okay? That.
I believe that'll be great ample time for us.
If by then, you guys really should know whether you're gonna get any of these grants.
We believe that, yeah.
And then he can move forward with his process, so by next October, this can be done.
Yeah, we're on it. I 100% agree with that. I mean, we want to take what Joe has done, and that's going to be our blueprint to go to get these grants. You know, that's what we're hoping to do.
The only issue we have too is like the trees growing. I mean, if you want to take them trees down now, that's why you're going to wait another year too. Because the trees are growing and could grow into the day.
Most of the trees that were risk of the dam are all gone.
Okay,
Thanks, Joe.
I've taken care of them over the last few years.
Okay.
And
And
maintenance.
that's why I said I totally agree with you. The only thing I want to do is one thing that I have found in my other line of work is sometimes you get people showing up and they say they represent, now listen, don't take offense to this.
We're not.
They say they represent the majority of people, and then the town or the township makes a decision, and then people afterwards go, hey, you let these guys come in and just make the decision without us knowing that, you know, this. So I don't want, that's why I said, that's why I like the Lake Association, which meets, I don't know if you guys have regular meetings, I know ours does. But something from them to say, hey, a majority of the Lake Association take it forward.
Quite honestly, Brendan, the only reason that I'm not too concerned with that is one of our fellow commissioners sits on a board and saying the same thing.
But he sits on the improvement, board. Like that's for me, for instance, like I sit on the lake improvement board, but I don't live on the lake, so I don't get assessed the extra money. So that's what I'm saying. What I don't want to do is have some people who are in the lake board, the association say, these guys just took this risk. We might have to pay $150,000 extra because these guys took this risk. So that's why I said I'd like them to do it, because they're the ones that's gonna have to actually pay for this if we decide to delay it and then, the prediction comes true that inflation costs. If they're okay with it, that's absolutely fine.
So-
That's fine.
You're looking at them gathering their association, do a majority vote,
Yes.
one way or the other.
Send something that says,
Bring that back
we
to
are
the
okay,
board.
we are okay with searching for grants for the 6 months, and that's it. Because I just want to make sure they're aware of the risk of it, they know the benefits, of course, but as I said, I don't want a couple of people to claim majority, and then next week, we have people come in and say, you just cost us an extra $100,000 because you listened to this or that. And so that's all, I just want to make sure it's very public, and they understand, and everyone understands.
So how do you want your motion to read?
Well, I actually don't even want a motion, I want to just table it. They can make those
Put
choices.
the topic on next week's agenda
To
to
well,
review.
let me,
How quick can the
let me ask,
association do it?
what's your guys'
We have
schedule?
one, I believe it's this Tuesday coming up, is that right? It's the third Tuesday of the month is when we have that.
We'll need to get a mailer out.
You know, we'd have to get a mailer. Well, I mean, we're gonna intend on posting this on the Facebook page, today. And, but you guys know how it is, right? You see what kind of attendance. Me and Jim are both on the board. There's been 2 other board members, so there's 4 out of 7 that have put this together, and I'm sure the others will come along, but I'll do as you ask, and we'll give it a good attempt, and we're confident that we won't have a problem with it.
Just real quick, you should also be aware, we just had our annual meeting on August 17th.
I
It was
know,
1
I know.
week to the day after Joe. And during that meeting, this topic was fully discussed. And the consensus even there at that meeting was that. we
But I
should
think
take
you're right,
this.
you wanna see, a little bit of proof that
Just
there's just
something
not
to
4
think
quacks coming in here, And, no, we agree, we could, but that's gonna be another 3 weeks to 4 weeks away for us to do that.
Joe, if that was the case, if it was delayed until October 1st, would that impact?
I delay till you give me permission.
Well, I'm saying, would that impact if they came back and said, okay, we couldn't get the majority, go ahead, would you still be able to go ahead if we pass this on the last Thursday of the month?
The plan right now is November 4.
So we could, okay. That's all I need.
Commissioner Snyder.
I appreciate the dialogue, because most of the questions that I had, you asked and you asked. And I want to say,
Could you say a little louder?
sure, and I want to say that I appreciate Joe as a drain commissioner trying to move forward with a lot of things that haven't been done in Lapeer County for a long, long time. I also appreciate the residents that spoke today, their perspective, and I also want to compliment you on very professional presentations. I think that can be used as an example on even when it's emotional issues, how to present your case articulately to the board. So thank you on that. My last issue is basically just the whole process. So first of all, we don't need a table. This is a committee of the whole, and the process that works for us. You have a committee that has a lot more discussion, and then you have a full board that actually takes action. So this would normally move to next week. I like to see the same type of thing happen where the association is kind of that dialogue type of stuff like we have our committee. And then something finally comes to this board. And it sounds like that needs a little bit more discussion. That's why I agree with the commissioner that is from that district, and I agree with my fellow commissioners, that there probably needs to be a little bit more discussion. I think we could just move this to the next committee of the whole, because that will be the third Thursday. It sounds like you guys, association is meeting on the third Tuesday.
Which is a week later, because
Great.
first Tuesday is the 6th, the second Thursday is
Oh,
13th. The 20th will be their meeting, according to the third
So it would have to
Tuesday.
be two committee of the wholes out, because we wouldn't want to necessarily bring this, like I say, our process is it wouldn't come to a full board. A full board is when we're ready to actually vote and take action. That's why this matter before us today is coming on a committee of the whole. So the next committee of the whole is 2 weeks from now, and that's gonna fall just shy of your guys. Then we would move that two committee of the wholes out.
Is there a way for them to put a meeting out and have it before your meeting?
Well, no, and I kind of, that's a good segue into my other, special meetings tend a lot of times, just because of timing issues, to not necessarily generate the dialogue that we want. And one of the questions that I wanted to ask as far as process is, I always get concerned when there's, we nickel and dime pens and pencils and tablets around here, but on $690,000, it just, flies right through. When there was a meeting on 8/10/22, or that's what you, the speakers refer to it as a meeting. Was that the public hearing, Joe, that was
Public
required?
hearing for the district.
Yes. I would like to see, I think my fellow commissioners would also like to see as well, either on the agenda packet 2 weeks from now on committee of the whole, or just in our individual baskets. I would like to see what correspondence went out to the residents, that there was such a quick, in some of the speakers' viewpoints, a quick timetable and not necessarily a lot of information. Because sometimes we jump through whatever hoops we have to jump through to make sure we follow the legal process. Geez, you have to have a public hearing set, and bang, there's a public hearing that's posted in a paper, and it doesn't really catch a lot of people's attention.
It was mailed to all of
That's
them.
so if it was mailed, was it mailed with a letter explaining what was going to be discussed at that public hearing? Or was it just the basic information that's in a?
I'll get you all a copy of the
Yeah,
letter that was there.
because I would like to see that from my own perspective, just to see why there was such of poor attendance. It sounds like if the residents really knew, that there might have been a better attendance. So it'll kind of give me an indication whether or not there needs to be more dialogue. Sir?
We have a copy of it here.
Okay, I still want to see it to be able to.
Right.
So,
And just to let you know, a lot of people were confused. Ray Bell's homeowner. A lot of people were confused with this because at the same time this letter was going out, we were getting our final documents on the dredging. So there was mass confusion. And I received this on the 3rd of August, and the meeting was the 10th of August.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of poor.
yeah, well, and again, it just sounds to me like there might have been some breakdown or some confusion. I appreciate that clarity there. I would like to see that information for myself. And just kind of based on that, I don't think it's unreasonable at all to move it to committees of the whole, give the association a chance to talk about it. Representatives can come back to us, whatever votes they took or whatever their positions, because you're right, you don't want to necessarily have just a handful of people speak for everybody. Don't want to hold up this process any longer than absolutely necessary. At least at that meeting, everybody can discuss the risk benefit of applying for a grant and possibly risking higher costs for the project and higher borrowing costs versus just moving forward. So based on all the discussion, I just want to see it moved out to committees as a whole, and I just want to give you a chance to respond to that before we make that motion.
It's your decision to do.
No, I mean, does that cause you?
It may cause a lot of trouble in the project and the cost,
And it may not.
and it may not. Okay?
I think, I guess comments I would add to what we've talked about to this point is, I think it's good to have the public involved. When we say possible extra cost, I think you can just about say it's a guaranteed extra cost if you get into needing to do new work to contract this out.
Unless
Given inflation,
grant takes.
Given inflation and cost of money, borrowing money, we know that's going to go up. So there's a guaranteed cost to putting this off to the residents. The second concern that I would have all those homeowners who are interested to address is if you apply for a grant, and I've been involved with many grants over the years, who actually has to apply, is even eligible to apply? And then who administers that grant?
Thank you.
To my knowledge,
That's a good question.
to my knowledge, our drain department has not gotten into the business of applying for those kind of grants, have we? Okay, so we don't have the expertise, we don't have the staff to do that. We're looking at a whole different set of options if we're going to start looking for those grants. And there is some newer money because of what the state's doing, but that's, again, temporary money, very political probably.
And I think the biggest part on that is that we're looking at dams that don't have an association that pays for it, that don't have anybody to pay for it, and it needs work. And those are the ones that are going to be the high priority for getting grant money.
And that may be in the criteria for that money. So there's somebody who has experience with grants really needs to look into what's possible pretty quickly, and who would have to do it, knowing that we really don't have the time or expertise in the county to do it.
Mr. Vice Chair, though, Joe, I assume you will be able to be at that Tuesday meeting that they have so that these discussions can take place with them. Because like I said, at the end of the day, it's going to be interesting to have them come back to us, two committees from the whole, from now and say, yes, we weighed the cost, the risk. Geez, we've decided to move forward because there is no expertise to do the grants, and from what everybody's been able to find out, it looks like there's a very small chance we're going to get it, as opposed to people might say, no, it looks like if ever there was a chance, now's the time. And again, I don't think it's unreasonable to at least it would have been nice if that dialogue would have occurred back on August 10th, but it sounds like there might have been some lack of clarity with a lot of the activity going on, what that meeting all entails. So now we have to give another chance for people to speak. And I think that's hopefully not going to,
Hopefully doesn't.
4 weeks, after all the work that's been going on there, 4 weeks should not be the end of the world, I don't think.
With that being said, we can't do this today, obviously, but the 29th would be the next, correct? 29th. So the 29th, do we want to consider next week adding authority to the 29th? Or go through the regular process of, has to go through the 20th? Just
Well, that'll move the timetable up 1 week, and 1 week
I don't know.
might make a big
Along
difference.
with
That's a good suggestion.
Along with this package is you need to prove the role, and then the people of the role have the right to go to court on it for 15 days. So that extends another more than 2 weeks.
Right, so Brendan's point was, when we do have this come back to us, 2 committees of the whole, if we keep this on the agenda for next week as well, next week's full board, we can give ourselves authority to add it at any future meeting. And then this way, when the issue comes back to us in 4 weeks, that committee of the whole can actually take action on that date. It'll speed things up by 1 week, but it sounds like for you, the difference between 4 and 5 can make a difference.
Is there any reason for us not to approve the role before we're ready to do the other?
I don't know. You could maybe look into that. Could you vote on that next week then?
Should we keep this on next week, approve the role? Okay, so then if there's any discrepancy, so they have 15 days.
15 days to go to court on that role.
Okay,
But I don't know with the role is the dollar figure, so
Yeah, dollar figure.
I don't know.
I think we'd have to do what the suggestion is. I think next week we'll have to move it officially with authority to the 29th. Because otherwise, I think we'd actually literally move it in any other case, which we don't want to do.
So the motion would be to move the topic to next week,
Yep,
and then authority after that.
yep. So I'll make that motion to move it to next week.
And if administration could just make a note, just to kind of remind us if things get lost in the agenda, that next week's agenda item for that is to give ourselves authority at a future meeting. And that future meeting would be planned for 2 committees of the whole from them. Okay. Thanks.
I guess the other comment I thought I would make, since I'm involved with drains in another county for a family farm, I know this amount looks sort of heavy, but you've got a district with
346 properties and 348 parcels. There's 328 assessed.
And the cost of this total per district member would be
On the lake is 1,000 plus interest, roughly. It's 996.56 on the lake, and half of that number is half of that.
okay. And I will say, from my personal experience with the farm, over 10 years, I'm paying $1,000 a year.
I would say from my personal experience, it's not unusual at all to spend that amount of money every year for
Part
2
of-
years for a road improvement.
Part of this is also 4 years of maintenance. Doing the mowing. I have a camera package in this, and it's 4 years of camera maintenance are in this as well. So you're getting 4 years of work taking care of the dam.
Okay, we have a motion.
We want to entertain, I don't know if you can see that hand behind the pillar.
Okay.
Couldn't see this one.
Okay, we're a
I have
little,
a question, or
Yeah.
clarification from the homeowners. What is our deadline? What is our meeting date that we have to be back here by?
September 29th.
What was that?
September 29th.
Okay.
but earlier would be better.
Give it a try.
We're gonna move this so that the topic in effect will stay on our agenda for a little while there.
A clarification for that actual question. If they're wanting to present anything in writing, it'll need to meet the deadline for that meeting's agenda, whatever that deadline is.
Is it the Monday before,
Monday before, yeah.
the 26th?
I thought it was like the Thursday before.
You're probably right. It's probably the Friday before, which is the 23rd.
Just for clarification, if the individuals want to present anything
So if there's
for
anything
the
in writing
agenda.
that you want to have on that agenda for the 29th, it needs to be into administration by the 23rd.
Thank you. That clarifies.
Because for me to turn this in was the Thursday before.
So hopefully we've given some encouragement to give time to look into it, but do it quick because it may end up costing you a lot more than you think if you drag this a while. Any further discussion? See none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no.
Okay.
Thank you. We have topic 6, PA 116 application.
I'll move it. I have some parcel, it definitely fits the requirements.
Have a second?
A second.
Discussion. Normal process that we go through, accepting this request. We have the draft language in the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Okay, budget update, anything under that topic you want to?
We are working diligently to, you folks have a chance to look at the revised calendar?
Okay.
I didn't get any feedback from it, so I'm guessing it's okay.
I guess for now, the most important one that would be coming up is the budget hearing for the departments.
Yes.
That's changed now to October 17th through the 21st.
Yes. I really want to make that December 1st deadline.
Yes, I would suggest sticking it.
Yes.
And like I said, I can't remember, I think we couldn't remember last week whether or not we've approved those or not, or whether it's just our own timetable, but this way, if it needs to be approved, you can have it on the agenda next week.
Okay.
Yep. I know there are some deadlines for things that we have to publish. I don't, that's part of that.
I will find out from Doreen. I think I asked her once.
The publication requirements are on that list.
Yes.
That's what.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you want to revise the list, we certainly could put it in the packet for them to
It's the
adopt.
same as I already knew, yeah, but I'll do it and, yeah.
You're following.
Yep.
We also added the topic for our county administrator controller to give us an update on broadband internet survey.
Sure, I promise I'll be brief. So last week or so, we took a countywide broadband survey and we had it at a Zoom meeting. We brought in the folks from Merit to describe what is it that they needed. Ironically, one would say, doing a internet survey or informational town hall on the internet with bad internet. I had some very choice words in response to that, but I'll keep it professional. The idea is, if you have internet access, you could have logged on, okay? So there's phones, there's hotspots, there's all kinds of things that you can do to participate. And if you didn't, or if you weren't able to attend the meeting, we also posted this online. We have a link to it of the recorded session that has been emailed out and has been made available for everybody. The main point of what we're trying to do is for the community and the citizens of Lapeer County to take this survey, which will put a pin on an address, and that pin on the address will tell us, do you have internet access? And if you do, is it poor? Is it substantial? Does it need improvement? Or are you jumping through hoops? I've tried HughesNet, I've tried Starlink, I've tried whatever else. I've tried hotspots, I've tried my cousin's minivan, whatever. we need that information because we have to design a network, which is going to then allow us to start the contracting to plow fiber in the road. So what we need to do, what everybody needs to do, if you have not done this, we have a survey to take. It's going to be online. If you'd like to write this down, see a lot of pads of paper. This would be good. It's michiganmoonshot.org/Lapeer County. michiganmoonshot.org/Lapeer County. It'll take you to a survey. Okay. This is not going to ask you any kind of personal information. If you go to a website and ask for your social security number, you're not on the right page. This is simply, where do you live? What are your issues with internet, and how can we help you improve it? The idea here is that this survey will allow that design to cover the most needed areas. And as a service, what we're trying to do is identify the most unserved first and underserved first. If you have screaming fast internet and you're totally satisfied with it, please take the survey, but you're not the one that we're concerned about. We're concerned about the families and the farmers and the people who use internet as part of their business, who do not have service and they're struggling to find it. That's what we need to know about, so we get a network design built to you. That's what we're trying to do. Okay. There is a good chance that you have such poor internet that you'll you'll start the survey and it'll kick you off, right? That would happen like one time for me, and I'd be incredibly upset that I'm doing this, right? So this will make it easy for you. Call the office. Here's a direct line. It's 810-667-0366. 810-667-0366. Request a paper copy. We'll get it to you. So drop it in your mailbox, get it in an email, whatever is convenient for you. We want to make sure that you have the information that you want. So a paper copy can be sent, okay? We need this information back as soon as possible. We've been called in, the fruit of our labor to fly to Washington. This was about a month ago or so. The fruit of that labor has paid off. We've been invited back. Now with the actual review committee, they've liked what they've heard. They like the proactivity. They've invited us back to take us to the second round. This is very unusual, quite frankly, that we have this much attention on a project that the application is not even due until September 30th, but they want to make sure that we have our ducks in a row. So that's good. We also have good news that the company and the folks that we've been collaborating with from the very beginning, they have been invited by the NTIA, those who hold the purse for all this money, to be part of the review board for the monies that will be given out in Michigan. So we have these close relationships in the network that we've been building over a long period of time. Just so happened to be, we bet on the right horse. And that horse now is going to be part of the team of reviewers who will be looking at our application. So we're taking the right steps. We need the survey, y'all. We really do. So we have a robust data set. Sir.
I'm going to ask something, and you can say, Brendan, that's the most ridiculous thing you ever asked. Don't ever be so ridiculous.
Okay,
again.
sure.
Getting the survey done, I feel like, is going to be the thing that gets us the money or not. Would it be ridiculous for us to mail out something to people to let them know to take the survey?
No, not at all. I'll bring you the budget, but it's already in the works. So it's already in the works to actually have it in.
That's just something that I was thinking, send something out to tell people how to do this, because as much as, we get a couple hundred sometimes that view this online. We have a couple people out here, obviously, but I would say a broad majority of Lapeer County probably doesn't know about it yet.
Okay, four things are going to happen for marketing. First one is that we're taking over the billboard on I-69 in Lake Nipissing Road that says Thumb Region, I-69 Thumb Region. We're taking that over. It's going to say, take the Lapeer County Internet Survey. That's the first thing that's going to happen. Second thing we do is we're buying ad space on Cars, FM, and Wings 103. So they're going to repeat this message, take the survey, take the survey, take the survey, take the survey, right? Next thing we're doing is going to be yard signs. Yard signs. Take the survey, take the survey, take the survey, take the survey, right? We're going to repeat this message time and again. And then we're going to hit every mailbox. I take that back. There's 30,000 rooftops in Lapeer County. About 19,000 mailboxes are going to be hit.
Fantastic.
You'd have to live under a rock not to know not to take the survey.
Good. That's all I wanted to hear.
Okay.
If I'm not right, anybody who wants their friends or neighbors or relatives know about this can forward on, probably a way to forward on a link.
Send me an
Or
email,
the
yeah, absolutely. Send me an email directly or call that number that I had mentioned before. Request a yard sign, request a paper survey. And listen, this is great, right? I hear that we're having Lake Board Association meetings, right? We're going to be on church on Sundays. We're going to be meeting with our friends and our families over the holiday. Talk about these types of things. Get a copy and hand them out. Be present, right? I know we're going to other township meetings, right? Mention, hey, if you got your copy, if you got your 10, your 15 copies here, you take the survey here, like be part of that process and let them hand it out. Okay. That'd be very helpful.
Now, I've heard that there actually is data already on what our needs are in the county.
That'd be interesting because I don't know what our needs are.
The federal government has collected some, or the federal.
I don't trust the federal government and the FCC to tell us what Lapeer County is all about. So.
Well, we already. So this is.
Okay, this is where it's
the
at.
purpose of this survey on top of that.
Okay, so that's a good question. I didn't mean to be sarcastic, but it's the FCC allows for data to be collected. So when they create these bills, and they create these funds for these bills, they use FCC data. Now, when this was announced months and months and months ago, actually when ARPA first came out and they mentioned broadband, when you read between the lines, you're like, okay, well, how are you going to validate this information? And when they say, oh, we're going to use the information we already had, ping, that's not good news for us. So we had to move forward quickly to establish a third-party independent review of this data that we had. So when they come to us and say, well, you really only qualify for X amount of money, or you're only underserved or served at X percent, we just want to walk in and go, well, actually, this is what Lapeer County actually is. So I want to be able to go and debate that. And I want to be able to negotiate against those terms, because if they shortchange us, right? If they shortchange us, I want to be able to go, hey, no, we have more reliable data and because of that, we want a bigger, better network built in Lapeer County. So it's a third party review.
It's fair to say we already know that their estimate of what capability we have is not accurate.
It is not, and to their own admission, I attended a meeting in Detroit 2 weeks ago. This was through a lot of the partners. The federal government was there, and I have to hand it to them. I mean, they admitted. They said, "Hey, listen, we don't have the very best data. We know that we're not, but we're playing with the cards that we were dealt, and so here's the information." Which is encouraging for Lapeer County to move forward with the survey, because it's like, hey, we're helping ourselves out here because we know that they don't have the full data set. So, and they admitted it. I have to hand it to them. They stood up and they said, hey, we don't have everything that we need. So, we're doing our part. Okay.
Before you move away from budget update, I want to go back, if I can, just to the calendar, just to make sure that we're on the same track with administration. So for either you or for Jackie. So in the past, we've had about a 3-week period of time, as reflected by the original tentative calendar, between the time that the board does a draft review of the budget, and then that goes to the department heads, and then they get a chance to turn around and go, no, this isn't going to work for these reasons. And then we turn around and we schedule hearings, and then we have hearings. The condensed version now, to give yourself more time for the draft budget and still meet the deadlines at the other end, squeezes that 3 weeks into 11 days.
Yes.
So my question on behalf of the department heads is, if the draft budget is going to be reviewed by the board on October 6th, and 4 days later, there's a turnaround where the revised draft budget, they're going to start scheduling appointments. Is that going to provide sufficient time for them? And at the very least, going back to my previous comment, you probably should then have this thing ready to be approved next week.
Right, yeah.
For that main circumstance,
Yep.
so that then you could turn around and send some type of correspondence out to the department, just in case they're gone for that week or whatever the case may be. see the attached
Come back.
calendar, which was approved by the board. You know, the draft is gonna be reviewed by the 10th, and your turnaround time is gonna be 4 days. So if they were planning on a leave or training or something like that, they might wanna reconsider that. Is
Okay.
that fair?
Yes.
Okay, any other comments, questions for administration? Okay, seeing none then, public time again. So we, again, people who spoke at the beginning are entitled to speak again, as Mr. Pierce is demonstrating.
Alan Pierce, Hadley Township. Just want to maybe be an information source for the people that are behind this request and going to be asking for funding for this project. Each township, my township, Hadley Township, has ARPA funds that was coming down from higher up, state, federal. Everybody wants to give away money because of COVID under ARPA. And I know that our township, Hadley, has ARPA funds for infrastructure projects and things like that. Might be a source to go to your township and find out whether this qualifies under those type of funds. I don't know. I'm not an elected official, and I definitely don't know all the rules to this ARPA stuff. The board does. The board has used ARPA for infrastructure improvement in the county. But you might want to start with your townships just to see if that might be a help.
Thank you, thank you. Other public comments?
I'd like to say something.
Sure.
Ray Bells, homeowners, I just want to, I was expecting something different today, and I just want to say thank you for the consideration and the discussion that all of you had. And my hat's off to the way the meeting was held. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment?
Jake Beckwith, Bearden Township. I want to thank you, Brian, for your attempt to gather more data for the KIND program. I really do appreciate that. I felt like your comments and your questions were very, very relevant. Unfortunately, I don't feel though we had much extra data presented to us. It's mostly qualitative. And I'm not saying that that's not worth something, it's worth a lot. But I believe we should have some quantitative data also, and I don't feel that we received that today, although we requested that. And there was a request, Lenny, made by you to I believe it was you, to have that next year when they present again. Now granted, it's only $18,000, but it's $18,000. And, you know, the board holds the community responsible for being accountable and presenting data, be professional as we present our data. And I appreciate that because we should, right? But we should have that same expectation of people who come and want monies from the taxpayers. So I'm just requesting or asking that the board continue on that same equal consideration, that if we the people need to make sure we have our data and our numbers, that the people, you know, our elected officials, and this is a nonprofit organization, correct, if I remember right. So basically a subcontracted service. I would think of all situations that a subcontracted service should have to provide information and data whether or not their services are effective for our community. Just saying, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
I know you're probably tired of us talking about election security, but I as one stand for maybe 100, standing in the gap for 100 as you talked about. You know, we're the same people that show up every week. And believe me, there's a lot of other things that we could be doing just like you to keeping our homesteads going and everything else, but we show up because we care. And there was an article this morning that the NSA is deploying election security group to combat foreign cyber hackers and protect midterm elections. And it's just so weird. It's so weird to all of us that if there was nothing wrong with these elections this last time, why are we so worried about this one? And why is the NSA now going to be involved? So that makes us a little leery because we've been involved for 2 years now, trying to make sure that each election is secure and we won't quit. We're going to be there. We're going to keep going. We're going to be poll watchers. We're going to be election workers. We're going to do everything we can. But now that the NSA is involved, maybe we need to even be a little bit more conscious of what's going on. Thanks.
You. Last call.
Yeah, I would just like to say, I'd like to thank Joe Suma. You know what, you all asked a question about how urgent or critical this could be for a delay, and Joe could have very easily said yes, and it would have tipped the whole thing over. So I just want to thank Joe for being honest about that, and it helped our case.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Seeing none, I should announce we do have personnel meeting upstairs.
Yeah, 302.
Upstairs
Just one.
after this.
One item, it'll be quick. Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Second? Do we have a second? Adjourn. I like a second even.
I need it like, the deadline, September 30th is our application, September 30th, so the end of this month, so 2 weeks. Couple weeks. Yep. You're welcome.
So it's Michigan Moon. What did you say?
Lapeer County.
I know
Yep, it should look like this when you.
There are
Yep, no, I got it, but it should look like this when you get it, that's what it should look like. You got it.
And this is to, I mean, I didn't quite, you're the best speaker you can hear. Makes you crazy to sit in these meetings and people don't speak. So now this is to improve the internet?
It's both, what you're doing is you're telling us, hey, at
Our
this
service.
address, yep, my service at this address is good, bad, great. And they're gonna ask you some technical questions like, do you pay through, do you use a
here.
hotspot on your phone? Do you, that's it, take service,
Okay.
that's it, you got it.
All right, so finally well, it depends on the day of the week sometimes.
And how many people are using it in your area?
It's very,
Get pretty messy. Yeah. We're gonna figure it out, we're going for it.
yeah. Well, then a little,
You
yeah,
too. We'll
thanks.
see you.
All right.
No problem.